Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing fine. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Welcome to my class. Recently, we have been reading a lot of news regarding raids, summons, inspections being conducted by the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate. Amidst that only, another news came that certain opposition leaders have written a letter to the Election Commission that these central agencies are being used by their political bosses so that the state assembly elections as well as the Lok Sabha elections can be manipulated in their own way. And even before that, when the Enforcement Directorate issued a summons to the CM of Delhi in the liquor policy case, the CM said that it is an illegal notice. He did not attend that investigation round, he skipped it. Another news came that even if Arvind Kejriwal gets arrested by the Enforcement Directorate, he will run the government from prison. So, this takes us to the core concept, the core matter. Is the CBI and the ED, are these two bodies being used for political gains? Do we have certain data to support this theory? And of course, the acts under which they are governed, as well as who appoints the directors. It is important that we understand it from the perspective of GS Mains Paper Second. Do not worry about notes. It is provided through my Telegram channel, Pooja Dwivedi UPSC. If you have any queries, you can talk to me on my Instagram, follow me on my threads. So CBI is not a limb of the center. This is what the center has told the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is hearing certain petitions regarding CBI being a caged parrot or not. In 2013 only, the Supreme Court said that the CBI is nothing but a caged parrot which speaks in their master's voice, in its master's voice. So is it really a caged parrot? The center is of the opinion that it is not a caged parrot anymore. Let's talk about the CBI for a moment. The CBI, the Central Bureau of Investigation, one of the most dreaded agencies in the news almost all the time because of the raids, the investigations, the charge sheet it provides for. The CBI works in a very clandestine manner. We have to credit that to the exemption under the Right to Information Act. It is not covered by it. And that is why, whenever something is so opaque, questions are bound to arise. It's a pre independence body. During the World War II, rampant corruption was going on in the War Department of our colonial masters. So they thought of conducting a proper investigation for it. They thought of an agency, and this agency was established as a special police establishment in 1941. Later on, when the powers were expanded, it has been getting its power from then till now under the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act of 1946. Post independence, it was thought of like this is going to be disposed of. This body is not needed anymore. But no, because India was a newly independent country, maybe corruption would take place even back then. We had to have this particular body. It was former Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri who organized it as the CBI in April 1963 to investigate into violation of central fiscal laws, serious crimes which are committed by gangs and thugs, collecting supporting intelligence, statistics of crime, and conducting police research and making special studies and so forth. The biggest takeaway from here is the general consent. The general consent is a consent, it's by the name you can understand. General consent is under which states give consent for the CBI to investigate offences in their states. But recently we are seeing that many states are withdrawing from it. Because of what? Earlier, we had almost the same kind of government on the center, on the central pedestal, and in the federal states. But now, as the political landscape is changing, suspicion is lurking by the federal governments, by the state governments against the central government that maybe CBI is being used to harass them. So many states have withdrawn it, such as Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Kerala, Mizoram, Punjab, Rajasthan, West Bengal, Meghalaya, and Telangana. This is as of 2022. Now, in the Vineet Narayan versus Union of India case, the Apex Court said that a selection committee should be formulated to appoint the director of the CBI. And this should be headed by the Central Vigilance Commission. And this was actually done in 1998. But the Lokpal Act in 2013 created a committee. This committee is headed by the Prime Minister as the chair, the leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, and the Chief Justice of India to select the director of the CBI from a panel of senior IPS officers for a 2-year tenure. But this also fell flat, and the appointing committee alone could remove her or him. This was also given. This power is also given. So this is the prelims fact. Remember it. Because the Prime Minister is the chair and the leader of the opposition and Chief Justice of India, do you think that the appointment of the CBI can be altered in some way? Do you think it? Tell me in the comment segment. Moving on. It all fell flat actually when the episode of Alok Verma and Rakesh Asthana took place in 2017, which was an internecine within the CBI war fought between Alok Verma and Rakesh Asthana. Later on, Alok Verma was sacked. This showed the kind of politicization that has happened within the CBI itself. Now, Delhi riots since 1980s also, we have been reading about CBI being used by the government in order to harass the opposition in the Delhi riots of 1984 and the Bofors arms deal of 1986. Figures since 2004 have showed us that several leaders in opposition parties, they have been targeted by the CBI. Let's talk about the UPA as well as the NDA. UPA government since 2004, we know that rampant corruption, these kind of corruption allegations were being made against the UPI. Still, 72 key leaders were probed by the CBI. In this, only 29 were from the Congress and its allies, 43 were from the opposition. Now, this is for you to make an opinion, not me. I'm here to tell you the evidence and you have to judge by it. 72 key leaders were probed, and in that, only 29 were from Congress and 43 were from the opposition. It intensified when NDA came into power. Probes against 118 opposition leaders have been done by the CBI since NDA has come to power as of 2022. So as you can see, this is a cartoon which shows us CBI jumping from cages to cages as the government is changing. This was to show that CBI is actually being used by the party in power, by the government in power against their opposition. Now P2I batches are being launched. One is from 15th November, that is for English. English is a hybrid batch. Don't worry, I have many things more to tell you. Don't go away right now. Just understand the P2I batch. You can move forward later on. So English is being launched from 17th November, English 15th November and Hindi 10th November. Whichever batch suits you the best, accordingly you can take admission. Right now is a good time because we are providing you a discount. If you use the code PDLive, which is only valid till 16th of November, the discount, it will become from 70,000 to 22,999, and everything that is available in the P2I batches will be given to you. So make sure you take admission. Next comes Enforcement Directorate, which had a very humble beginning. It was established as an enforcement unit, just a unit, in 1956 in order to look into violations of the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act of 1947, the erstwhile. It back then worked under the Department of Economic Affairs, and in 1957 it was named as the Enforcement Directorate. Then it worked under the Department of Revenue in 1960. Okay, in 1973, a new FERA legislation, it replaced the FERA of 1947 and it was relocated for administrative purposes to the Department of Personnel and Administrative Reforms. It stayed within that department for good 4 years. Later on in 1977, it was transferred to the Department of Revenue, under which it is working. In 1999, the Foreign Exchange Management Act, and this replaced the FERA. Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which was one of the most dreaded laws, it enforces, because here getting bail is a task because it is related to black money. Fugitive Economic Offenders Act of 2018 is also worked by the Enforcement Directorate only. Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Activities of 1974, and it also under it sponsors cases of preventive detention with regard to contraventions of FEMA, preventive detention, means even before a crime is committed by any person, the Enforcement Directorate can take that person into custody so that the crime is not committed. Okay. And then except for the PMLA 2002, it's a criminal act, the rest are civil acts. So these can be asked in your preliminary examination. Make sure you remember it. So the PMLA of 2002, it has stringent bail condition. That is why it is one of the most dreaded acts. Under it only, the ED has the powers to attach properties and assets of the accused. Statements from an accused recorded in front of the investigating officer of the ED is admissible in a court of law. That means no protection from self-incrimination. That is generally given under police custody. The Supreme Court has also said that ED officers are not police officers. So if any person has exposed themselves before the Enforcement Directorate officer, that can be admitted as an evidence, which is not the case with police officers. During 2004 to 2014, 26 leaders were probed by the ED. Of these, 54% were from the opposition. Now, when NDA came to power in 2014, 121 political leaders were probed by the ED since then, out of which 95% belong to the opposition, in which Congress has accounted for the maximum number, that is 24, which is followed by Trinamool Congress. So right now we are also reading about Mahua Mitra's case being referred to the CBI. Now it is for you to make an opinion. As a future bureaucrat, as a police officer, future IPS officer, I mean to say, as an IFS officer, whatever opinion you have to make, you can make with the help of the data that I have given to you. And I hope you will understand how to make an opinion. Other than this, who appoints the director of the ED? It is the central government, and that is done by the recommendation of a committee. This committee is headed by the Central Vigilance Commissioner. Okay, and the secretaries of Finance, Home, Personnel, and Training are also a part of this particular committee. I've told you many things regarding this particular topic. You can write a good answer. You can also write, you can attempt correct questions, correct answers in your UPSC if any question is asked with that. Also, to understand ED better, I have already covered it in one of my classes. I will provide you the link. You can watch that. Thank you so much for watching. Stay updated.